World History Discussions, Chapter 5, Part 3. And admittedly, those last two videos were just teasers and intros. Now we're going to finally get into it. But there's one more picture of the Yellow River. It's our fourth and final ancient river valley civilization. I'll tell you something interesting about the Yellow River. First, a joke. If you ever read that book about it, it's called Yellow River, and it's by somebody named I.P. Freely. Just kidding. I'm being silly, but had to make a corny joke there. I'm sure you've probably heard that one before. But anyway, one thing that's interesting about the Yellow River is that our catchy opener a couple videos back was all about how it had to be dredged and how it had to flow peacefully to the sea. Nowadays, I don't even believe it reaches the sea. So going back to when I lived in China, I was way southwest of everything on this map down in Yunnan, but I did take a trip to China as a junior abroad trip a couple years earlier in 2009 with Warren Wilson College. And we went to Beijing and all the big capitals, and we saw Khufu, where Confucius is from. That's the next chapter. And we went to Qingdao and the Shandong Peninsula on the Yellow Sea. And we saw the Yellow River, which is pretty much a dry ditch when it gets down to Shandong province in the Far East. I don't even believe the river reaches the sea anymore, just due to dams and dikes and droughts and all that, which is just kind of funny. But also, we talked about in Egypt about how the Nile's the longest river in the world and the Amazon's the second longest, but both the Yellow and the Yangtze are some of the top 10 longest. I don't remember where they rank. I think one of them, the Yangtze, might be number 3 in length. It's pretty close to 4,000 miles long, and the Yellow's over 3,000 miles long. Those are some big, big rivers. But let's get into some history. Finally. So first of all, you have the Yangshao Society, which could be mythical, but it's kind of in the middle of the Yellow Valley. It's not on here because it's from about 5,000 to 3,000 BCE. If it's real, then answering the question of our last video, China is actually older than Egypt and Mesopotamia because 5,000 BCE is longer ago than 3,500 BCE when Sumeria rose, or 3,100 BCE when Menes united Egypt. But most likely Yangshao was mythical. But you had a village excavated called Banpo. There were definitely people and there was definitely agriculture and civilization then. I'm just saying there probably wasn't really an empire, but we don't really know. And that brings us to the next dynasty, which is the Shah dynasty in yellow. For a long time, people thought this dynasty was mythical. Same with the Shang in orange. People thought that dynasty was mythical. But now, archaeology and writing from the Shang have turned up and showed that these were not mythical. They were indeed real dynasties. But anyway, the Shah dynasty rose around 2100 BCE and lasted till about 1600 BCE. And its capital was Erlitou, which is pretty near modern Xi'an. And this is the dynasty of the legendary King Yu. And the kings, they probably exercised their power by controlling leaders of individual villages. And we had bronze weapons. That's going to be real important in the next two dynasties. Not that much is known about the Shah, so we're going to go through them really quick and go straight to their successors, the Shang dynasty. The Shang dynasty, tradition has it, and I have the 6th edition. This book will tell you that they were in power from 1722 to 1122. But now, on the 7th edition, new dates have been made for the Shang, 1600 to 1050 BCE. And this was in modern Henan province. So I'm going to go back to the Chinese map of provinces, which is on my computer. And so Shaanxi is where Xi'an and all this ancient stuff is, and Henan is just to the east of Shaanxi. So this is kind of the area that we're talking about. So you had the, as you can see here in yellow, you had the Shah, and then you had the Shang dynasty. And the legend has it that the Shah king was kind of a heavy drinker and basically got displaced gradually by the Shang, and that's going to be our very next discussion. That's not the Mandate of Heaven, though. The Mandate of Heaven doesn't come up until the Zhou dynasty, so don't get too far ahead of yourselves.